capital markets lawyer, so very familiar with some of the regulatory issues that our clients face. And I'm pleased to be joined by Olivia.
Hello everyone, Olivia Yun from Crypto.com based in Hong Kong. So currently I'm leading the compliance advisory team globally with focus on all the products that we offer. I also look after the compliance tools program, so that's why I got connected with Ian a few years ago. Lastly, because we are also getting the license in Hong Kong, so I am acting as the compliance officer and the MRO for the Hong Kong entity. Crypto.com. All right, so for those of you who are not familiar with, allow me to give 1 minute introduction. So we were founded in 2016. Right now we have over 150 million users globally. Our vision, the long-term vision is very simple: cryptocurrency in every wallet. So how do we do this? So we started with a retail application called Crypto.com app. These we operate in all licensed jurisdictions. So we allow users to buy, sell, and hold over 250 cryptocurrencies. On top of that, we also have another app, another platform called Crypto.com Exchange, with a different customer sector. So we allow our institutionals and our advanced traders to actually come in and access spot trading, margin trading, derivatives, OTC trading, and more. And on top of that, we also have one of the biggest crypto card program in the world, featuring the Visa prepaid card and the credit card. Along with the pay program, we actually over 80 million merchants to receive payments through our platform. So so with all that, our mission is very simple: to accelerate the world adoption and transitions to cryptocurrency.
Thank you, Olivia. Yeah, I'm very excited to be working with Crypto.com. Crypto.com was previously called Monaco, and they were actually one of the first cryptocurrencies that I bought. In fact, I was one of the first people who applied for their crypto credit card, and I actually paid for my wedding with it. I got pretty decent cash back, I can say. Yeah. All right, so we want to take this time to talk a little bit about how we've been collaborating with Crypto.com. Now, Merkle Science is a blockchain analytics provider. We do transaction monitoring, so essentially we do compliance, right? And when I first entered the space and I was like selling Merkle Science to people weren't that excited to buy, right? Because they see compliance traditionally as a cost, right? It's not going to earn the business more money. It's just something that is going to cost the business money. So at Merkle, we really tried to ask ourselves, can compliance be more than a cost, right? Is there ways in which we can actually help our partners make money, grow their business, so that when it comes to budgetary meetings and they need to pay us, it's a lot easier to get approval, right, if compliance is actually supporting the business. So what do? Well, we started thinking, okay, what are some of the problems that maybe exchanges face and how can we help them? Well, as of 2025, there are more than 50 million cryptocurrencies in existence. And, well, obviously, like what the previous panelists said, 90% of them are scams. But that being said, there are still more than 10,000 cryptocurrencies that are actively used quite often. And these are spread across 50 different blockchains. Right? Now, if you think about it from a business perspective, having a lot of cryptocurrencies in the ecosystem is great for them, right? Why? Well, more tokens listed means higher trading volume equals more profit, right? So from a business perspective, great. I wish more cryptocurrencies exist so that more tokens for customers to trade so that we make more money. Businesses love this, right? I think it's one of the reasons why a lot of companies were excited to get into the crypto space, because not only do they have all these different assets that they can trade, but their business operation is also global, right? Which means that the clientele that they serve is also not restricted to one jurisdiction. Next. Now, the problem though is that, we're looking back at, 2015, 2016, it's fine. Exchanges can list any tokens they want. They can make tons of money. But today, regulation has come in globally, right? And as a licensed exchange, what this means is that they need proper AML and KYC monitoring in place for all cryptocurrency transactions. And the impact that this has on their business is essentially that exchanges cannot list new tokens without adequate KYC monitoring, right? Because every token that they list, if they are unable to monitor it, that is a potential gap right? That criminals can exploit in order to launder illicit funds through their business. So compliance in this sense was actually limiting the growth of exchanges because they couldn't onboard tokens willy-nilly. They had to make sure that any token or blockchain that they wanted to touch, their KYT provider had coverage for. And I can tell you the problem that we faced at Merkle Science is, hey, it might sound simple to onboard a new blockchain and token, but it's actually not. Right? Onboarding a new blockchain or token actually requires significant research. We need to take time to understand how does the blockchain operate. We need to take time to support the blockchain by running its own nodes, and we need to take time to understand all the different tokens, right? Their smart contracts, how they operate. Now, by and large, a lot of the EVM chains are quite similar, but today we see a lot of new blockchains with a lot of unique technology that is not as easy to understand. So it's very expensive and time-consuming for us. The solution? Well, recognizing that Crypto.com was at the front lines of looking at, what are these new emerging blockchains, new tokens, that they had inroads to the foundations themselves who can assist us with the technological aspect. What we did was basically we set up a special token and blockchain onboarding team that works with Crypto.com business team to identify new blockchains and tokens that they want to list. Right? So the moment they identify a blockchain of interest, they let us know, and we start our evaluation processes. What is the necessary effort and resources required to onboard that blockchain and token? And Crypto.com is very supportive in providing us any insight that we need or introductions to the protocols themselves so that we can get any assistance required. And the impact of that is that, with their assistance, we've successfully helped them onboard more than 700 tokens across 6 different blockchains, and we'll be onboarding another 6 blockchains for them in 6 months. Now, what does this mean from a business perspective? Now, I took the trouble of going to Crypto.com's website to see what is their trading volume and the fees that they take for trades. And what I discovered was that, hey, by helping them onboard a token, every day that a token is onboarded, they earn up to $164,000 in trading fees, which means that by onboarding more than 700 tokens for them, we've essentially potentially helped them unlock more than $100 million in revenue because these are tokens and blockchains that they couldn't have otherwise listed, right? So it's changing the conversation. Now you can go to your business team and say, hey, we should pay Merkle more money because they will make us more money, right? Anybody need help with that conversation? You can find me. Yeah. All right, but beyond that, right, I think collaboration with frontline operators in the space is also important because as much as service providers like ourselves like to think that we know everything, we don't, right? And so another way in which we've collaborated with Crypto.com is, as they start to expand, and Crypto.com today is licensed in multiple jurisdictions, right? One of the challenges that they face is, every jurisdiction has its own rules and regulations when it comes to AML and KYT, as well as data privacy requirements. And again, from a business perspective, great. We're operating in 5, 10 different countries. We make a lot of money. From compliance officers' perspective, that's a nightmare, right? 5 different countries means 5 different rules and regulations I got to comply with. I got to segregate clients' data. I got to report accordingly.
Yeah, I can add on that.
Yes, please.
We do, as we operate globally, as Ian mentioned, right? So we do need different risk policies, like different thresholds, different velocity rules. So we need the flexibility in that sense. And also, when it comes to data privacy or data segregation requirements, certain countries actually require a totally data segregation. So meaning, what does that mean? Meaning all the customer transactions that come in, it cannot be handled by other compliance officers or personnel outside of that jurisdiction. So therefore, we look into Merkle, asking for the flexibility, whether we have that. So.
Yep. And so what we did for them is we designed a feature called workspaces, right? So essentially what this allowed them to do was within one login, they could create different workspaces for different jurisdictions that they operate in. And what each workspace does is that it segregates their clients' data and it allows them to deploy a different risk policy or rule engine in each workspace. So what that means is that they can have a Singapore workspace, a Korean workspace, a US workspace, all with different thresholds, all with different velocity rules. And whenever a transaction is screened, by leveraging the correct API, the data is segregated to the appropriate workspace, right? And only senior compliance officers would have access to everything, whereas the junior compliance officers may only have visibility over the transactions in their jurisdiction, right? And the benefit of this is, not only did it help Crypto.com, but this also benefited us because this allowed us to also provide this solution to our other clients. And as you can imagine, most crypto businesses today are seeking to operate in multiple jurisdictions. So a feature like this makes it very effective for them to scale. And alongside the new workspace that allows them to segregate data, what we also did was that we created risk rule templates that are mapped against different jurisdictions, right? So if any one of our clients come to us and say, hey, I'm looking to expand to the US or Singapore, we can easily spin up a new workspace for them with rules that have already been mapped to the local jurisdiction's requirements, right? Thereby making scaling across jurisdictions much easier. And again, we have Crypto.com to thank for this because if they hadn't provided us with this problem statement, we wouldn't have spent the time and resources to try and address it. Yeah. One other thing that we also do with Crypto.com as well as a couple of our other clients is, as a blockchain analytics company, one of the most important value proposition that we provide our clients is data, right? Attribution. We tell you if an address is linked to scams, terrorist financing, tornado cash, etc. And as much as I like to stand up here in front of you and say that, hey, we have attribution over everything, we don't, right? It's impossible. Anybody who tells you differently is probably lying to you and probably a really good salesperson. So how do we make sure that we try our best to get information as soon as possible? Well, this is where partnership with exchanges on the front lines becomes valuable, right? Because oftentimes they are the first to notice an attempt by a bad actor to try and launder funds through their business. They are the first to notice maybe a new type of scam that is being affected by their consumers, right? And it's through these collaborations and sharing that we are able to enhance each other's compliance and attribution, right? So as you can see over here, one of the things that we're very proud of is the fact that we've made significant breakthrough in terms of our ability to detect sanction coverage specifically for Nobitex and Garantex, as well as a couple of Iranian entities which recently, well not recently, but for a while have been of great concern to the Web3 space, and a lot of companies have shared with us some of the challenges they face in terms of being able to detect this, right? And so I strongly suggest all of you in the space, whether or not you're an exchange or a service provider, do try to work closely with your clients, right? Because there's a lot that you can learn from them, and there's a lot that you guys can benefit mutually through collaboration. Yeah. The last thing that we are also working on together, which I'm very excited to share, is AI innovation. So Web3 is still sexy, but AI is becoming sexier, right? Everybody that we speak to these days is asking us, hey, what's your AI strategy? What's your AI strategy? And I'm sure everybody of you in the audience today use AI in some form of another, probably ChatGPT, right? That's what I think 90% of us use. Now, AI is very transformative, I will say. And so we've been exploring how we can use AI in different aspects to help our clients. I think the dream for any compliance officer is to have an AI agent sitting in the background, reviewing all alerts, closing alerts, escalating alerts, and you as a compliance officer maybe just clicking confirm, submit, verify. Unfortunately, I don't think we're anywhere near that yet, partly because the technology is not there, but partly also because I think regulation has to catch up, right? Even if the technology was ready, to what extent would regulators be comfortable with you saying that, hey, I'm relying on a software to close alerts? So that being said, we started thinking, okay, if we can't immediately have AI closing alerts, where else can we use AI to save our client valuable time? And what we found was that when it comes to reporting, documentation was one of the most time-consuming aspects. So what we've been doing is we've been working with Crypto.com's reporting team to try and understand from them, when you write your reports, what are the key data points that you typically include? What are the factors and variables that you consider? And can we actually train an AI agent to produce a summary report such that anytime you're reviewing an alert, yes, you can still do everything, but when it comes to actually creating a report, you can just click a button and maybe just make some minor tweaks and then submit, right? It's not going to do all the work for you, but it's going to do a lot of it for you. Admittedly, maybe some of the more boring work, right, of just documenting. So with that, I'm happy to show you guys a short demo. of what we built. So this is the Merkle Science Compass solution. And what we've done is that we've used AI today to introduce two versions of summary reporting. So whenever our clients are looking up an alert, we actually have an AI agent here that will actually give just a quick summary as to what triggered the alert and what was the cause, right? And when it comes to actually maybe producing a report, we've also taken the liberty of introducing an AI agent that would provide a more long-form summary of the analysis as well, right? Where it will basically give you an overall risk profile or provide you with detailed reasons as to why an alert was generated. Was the risk direct, indirect? If there were interactions with exchanges, were these exchanges with strict KYC or AML? We'll provide you with any regulatory context necessary, and then we'll end off by providing you with some recommendations. Now, I'm going to be honest, as a lawyer, before joining Merkle Science, I don't know how comfortable I am with having an AI produce a report that is going to go straight to the regulators, but I do think that the potential for this is quite appealing. So whilst we're not going live with this anytime soon yet, we are testing this with a few of our different exchange clients to see if, after enough training, these AIs would be able to produce reports that can be comfortably directly submitted to regulators, right? And so if there are any of you in the audience who are interested to also engage with us to explore this, I'd be more than happy to engage with you. Yes, question?
Can I ask why you are uncomfortable? Because speaking as a regulator has a lot to do with our FIU. A lot of the reports, which are handwritten by firms, they're very poor quality a lot of the time. So they don't actually tell the financial intelligence unit or the regulator, and please, I do hope you're not recording me on this.
This photo.
Yeah, please. They don't tell you what you want to know. So if you've got an AI agent, which even if they get some things wrong, can uniformly give you information which is actionable, that's surely much superior. It's like, self-driving cars. People complain about them, but they forget humans are very valuable when driving cars.
Good point. So I think my personal apprehension with something like this is I've seen how quickly people become over-reliant on technology, and I'm afraid we get to a point where the AI produces a report and the compliance officer doesn't even bother reading out. He just glances at the title and he goes, click, submits, right? And you reach a point where the company then gets questioned, hey, why did you submit this report? And actually nobody in the firm is familiar with what's actually written because they just, automate the process, right? So I do think that we will get to a point where maybe it is accepted, but we need to be very careful in the process and how we develop it, which is why what I'm thinking if we do go live eventually is that we'll never ever reach a stage where, again, this is automated, but it will always require somebody to manually say that they verified it. And from a accountability perspective, whoever has signed off on it to submit it would then have to be held responsible for whatever's in the document, whether or not they've read it or not. Because I think from a reporting perspective, at the end of the day, accountability is very important.
Totally agree with that,
Yeah.
because I do strongly believe that human in the loop is still the way to go for now, at least for now, because leveraging the human expertise and knowledge and the judgment is important. As you said, right, this is new, this is coming, but at least for now, I don't think we're comfortable yet.
I agree with you for now, but
Yeah.
one can look forward to something where you've got good agents like that,
Yeah.
which produce the reports, which are automatically filed with the national FIUs. The national FIU will then have its own agentic agent, which will look through those and will sift them, because you will normally get far more than you can humanly read, and decide which of them are worth actually taking action on because you think they're actually pointing to real criminality. That would be the ideal. It's originally some way off, but you can see it being miles better than the current default door system.
Totally, yeah.
Now, of that, I think we're all on the same page. Yeah. Do you want to use?
Skip.
Okay. All right. So with that, I think we've come to the end of this session. Like I said, we kept it short and sweet for you guys because we know lunch is just around the corner. After this, we will be breaking for lunch and we'll be resuming at 1 p.m. So please do come back on time. We have a very exciting afternoon session for you. You'll be seeing a lot more of me again. So Just a heads up. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy your lunch and we'll see you back at 1. Thank you.